Hey everybody, this is Alex Warner. I'm the Existing Industry Project Manager for the Forsyth County Chamber of Commerce. Um, Over the past couple of days, a lot of people have been reaching out to me since the SBA has announced that they are going to start giving disaster relief funds for small businesses affected by the COVID-19 epidemic. And so I wanted to reach out and, for one, just to go over some basic frequently asked questions that small businesses are putting out there. So that way, hopefully, you can use this resource before you start your application, so you can go through the process as easy as possible and make sure that you have all the correct information filled out, so that your chances of getting a quick denial are drastically reduced, and hopefully, you can get some relief funds quicker, and the loan officer does not have to reach out to you for any additional questions. So I do want to. I'm going to quickly go through this presentation from the SBA. If you have any questions or want to revert back to this presentation, it will be available just below this video. So if I'm moving a little too quickly for you, by all means you can pause it. But the presentation will also be available for you to read at your own personal leisure. So one of the main questions that we've been getting is who is eligible to apply for these loans, and it's right now it is currently just small businesses. The SBA is providing some working capital loans for small businesses. If you do have a question about whether or not your business qualifies as a small business, below this video there will be a link available to the SBA website where you can input your tax identification number, and it'll tell you whether or not you qualify as a small business, a medium business, or a large business. This loan does only apply to small businesses as of this time. So this does include anyone that's throughout the supply chain of other companies that may be affected from the disaster area. So if you're a retailer and you sell fidget spinners, and the fidget spinner manufacturing plant down the road had to close due to the virus, you are also eligible to apply for this loan. One of the most important things to remember, though, is that this is still a loan process. So it is not guaranteed money from the government. You do have to provide credit history, and they're going to be working with companies as far as repayment and terms. But it is a loan, so just remember that before you get started, that you will have to prove that your company does have a credit history, and you will have to work out repayment options. So small businesses, they can apply for up to $2 million. Now you are not going to get the full $2 million if your company does not have the financial background to require a loan for $2 million. But for small businesses, the percentage rate for payback is going to be 3.75%, and for nonprofits, it's going to be a 2.75%. Like I said, they are going to be working with small companies to try and help for the repayment process. They want to make it as easy as possible for small businesses to apply for this money, so they can even stretch the loan term out to as many as 30 years, just so that your payment size can be reasonable, so you're not going under in the future months after we've recovered from this. Now, another question that people have been asking is, what can I use this money for? And so if you look at the bottom paragraph, it'll go over everything that you can use it for. It's fixed debt, it's payrolls, it's account payables. You cannot use this to consolidate other loans for your business. This is strictly disaster relief money for the COVID-19 crisis. So it is to help you throughout this crisis. It is not there to help you consolidate higher interest loans that you might have. Now, a lot of companies that are reaching out, they don't want to put any collateral on the line, and that is completely okay, and it is completely understandable. You can apply for up to $25,000 without having to put any collateral available. So just keep that in mind. Some examples of some businesses that can apply for this are any kind of hotels, manufacturers, sports vendors. Since every sporting event's being canceled around the state right now and around the United States, you're allowed to use these funds. But the most important part is that you have to have a physical presence inside of a county that has been deemed a disaster area. Forsyth County, as of Wednesday morning, has been declared a disaster area. So if you're applying for the loan and you're in Forsyth County, you will be okay. But if you just have a PO box inside of Forsyth County and your business is elsewhere, you need to check to make sure that wherever your business's physical address is inside of a disaster area. So these SBA economic disaster loans, they do come directly from the US Treasury. They do not go through any kind of bank, so there is no cost to apply. If you are offered a loan, you do not have to take it. But again, the largest amount that you can get unsecured will be $25,000. So, and this also applies if you have an existing SBA loan taken out. You can also still apply for this disaster relief funds. You cannot consolidate the two loans together, but if you have multiple SBA loans, you can still qualify for the disaster relief fund. Now, there are going to be some basic forms that you will need in order to complete the application. The links for these forms will also be available below the video. I would highly recommend that you have all these forms filled out and completed before you start the application process. A lot of companies are calling me in the middle of the application process and they're wondering why they keep getting a little spinning circle and saying that the forms are lagging. As of right now, there's only a handful of states that are eligible for these SBA requirements, and a lot of small businesses are taking advantage of it. Over the next couple of days, a lot more states and a lot more small businesses are going to be eligible, and so the system simply is going to be overloaded. So the more information that you have already available and all of these forms that are already completed, the quicker you can work through the process, and it'll be less of a headache, and you won't get as frustrated. And there are going to be a couple of more forms depending on the type of business that you have. So just if you are a sole proprietorship or anything like that, there will be separate forms that you need from corporations to LLC. We'll get through that throughout this presentation, but just be aware, the more forms that you have available and already filled out before you get started, the easier it is going to be. Now, there are some types of businesses that are not eligible for this disaster relief fund, and those will be agricultural, religious, charitable organizations, gambling organizations, and casinos. So take a look at this page. If your business fits any of this criteria, unfortunately, you will not be eligible for this. So there will be a link also below this video that'll take you directly to the website. But if you want to write it down now, it is going to be the disasterloan.sba.gov. There will be an option as well where you can print out everything and mail it in, but it will be a much quicker process to be completed online and electronically. But it's always an option that you can mail in. If this video does not meet all of your needs to help you throughout the application process, I would be more than happy to refer you. For one, you can reach out to me directly and I can answer direct questions. But if you would like to work with somebody to walk you step by step through the loan process, I'd be happy to refer you over to the SBDC or somebody with SCORE to make sure that we can get your application, for one, filled out correctly and in a timely manner. And again, I'm going to reiterate that you should submit your application sooner than later, because more and more states are going to be eligible for this for these funds, and so that means that more and more people will be flooding the system. And there's only so many loan officers that can look over the applications. So the further you are down the list, the longer it will take. So once you get to the website, you are going to get to a page that looks very similar to this. You're going to want to click on the blue circle that says Apply Online. And this first part of the presentation is going to be the Form 5. This will be for any business that is not a sole proprietorship. Now, these are going to be the paperwork that you're going to need for any business that's not a sole proprietorship. Again, the links for these forms will be available below the video, and I highly recommend that you have these forms filled out before we get started in the process. Now, if you are not a sole proprietorship, you are going to need anybody that has more than 20% ownership to fill out forms. So also make sure that you have that in mind before you get started, that if you do not own more than 50% of the business, anybody that has 20% of the business in ownership is going to need to fill out some paperwork. So make sure that you have all this available before you get started. You're going to need your business's most recent tax return. You're going to need the personal financial statements for anybody with over 20% ownership. You're going to need a schedule of liabilities form, the monthly sales, and again, all of these links are going to be available below the video, and I highly recommend that you have them filled out before we get started. So you're going to click apply online, and then you're going to register. If you do not already have a login with the SBA, it is a very simple process to complete, but you will have to create an account. If you cannot read this, again, this PowerPoint is going to be available below the video, but it's basically, it's going to need all of your personal information. But make sure that you pay close attention to the areas with a red asterisk, as these are the most important, and your form will automatically be kicked out of the system if you do not complete all of the areas with a red asterisk. And once you create a login, then you're going to click apply online, and then on the next page you're going to go to business and nonprofits. So on the first page you are going to come to the disaster loan assistance, and so you're going to need to pick what type of business you are. Again, if you're a sole proprietor, your form is going to be a little bit different. We will get to your form towards the end of the presentation. The majority of it will be the same. There are just a couple of different forms that you'll have to fill out. So go ahead and pick what type of business you are, and the most important link that you will need to click is down here in the second bolded area. You will have to click economic injury. This is the most important because that is what you need to click in order to be applying for this COVID-19 disaster relief money. The next, you will need to select the state and the county. Forsyth County has been declared a disaster area, so as long as your business is in Forsyth County, Georgia, then you will be able to apply for this loan. And then in the next drop-down box, there will be a box that says COVID-19 disaster relief, and just click that so that you're applying for the correct disaster loan. The next page is saying that you are going to certify to provide only truthful information. You must click that you certify. If you do not, then you should stop the process now because your loan will not be accepted. You will also need to certify the executive orders page. And now it is time to start the business loan application. It is going to be a very simple business loan application, and as long as you have completed the forms prior to getting started, it is going to be a very easy, should take you less than just 10 minutes process. But again, if you decided to not fill out the forms, that's completely fine, but you will have to spend a little bit more time in the application to manually input the data. And again, just for the main areas of the application, make sure that you are filling out everywhere with a red asterisk. And again, at the top of the page under section 1, make sure that you do click the box for economic injury, and then select the type of business. Put your legal name, and if you do not already know your tax identification number, you should reach out to your accountant or whoever files your taxes and find your tax identification number. And again, it is all very basic information about you and about the business. But make sure, again, that when you're filling out the address information, that the physical address of the business is inside of an area that has been deemed a disaster area. And Forsyth County, again, has been deemed a disaster area. At the bottom of the page, there will be under question 9, there will be an area for you to fill out multiple phone numbers and other ways to contact you. We have been told that while the loan officer is looking at your application, if they have any additional questions, they will attempt to contact you at any of the numbers that you provide. So I would highly recommend that if you have multiple ways to be contacted, that you fill out this information there, because if they move on from your form, who knows when the next time that they will be looking at your application. So just provide them with multiple ways so that way you don't get put at the bottom of the list. And the most important question on this page, if you have more than 50% ownership of the company, is going to be question 16, because make sure that you answer that one correctly, or it will be asking you for multiple people's tax information on the future pages. And then on page 2, it's going to get to all of the business owners' information and personal information. If you're a one owner with over 50% percentage of the business, then you should just have to fill out owner number 1 in the box. But this is where you will need to have everyone that's a member of the business to input their own information. And you'll need to check the boxes for the questions on 18. Now, again, this is a loan application. We have been told that they are going to be working with the small businesses to get as many people that apply for this loan some relief funds. That includes if you have less than perfect credit, that they will be working with companies to try and get you through the loan process, but be as truthful as possible. But if you do have, or if you are behind on child support payments, that is going to be a big deterrent. So if you are behind on child support payments, but you can prove that you're actually making payments, please have those that proof available. But it's a very easy way to be denied quickly if you're behind on your child support payments and cannot show proof that you are actively making these payments. So just be aware of that while you're going through the process. Hopefully none of you have to go through that, but if you are, just please make sure that you can show proof that you're working on getting these payments up to date. All right, and that completes the basic information that you will need for the loan application. And now it's going to get time to start submitting some documents. Now, if you have already completed the personal financial statement below, that's going to be in a link below this video. You will have an option to go ahead and submit it here. Just easily upload the document into the web or into the web page via your computer. And but if you do not already have the application completed, you can manually input all of the data here. All right, and the next is going to be all of your personal assets and debts. Now, you do not have to put down to the penny how much money you have and where you have it. They will need to know within a reasonable amount how much money you have and how much money you owe to other entities. And now we're going to get to the schedule of liabilities form. Again, if you have already completed this form, you can upload it to the page here. If not, now is the chance for you to enter the data. If you do not know what a schedule of liabilities are, these are any notes or mortgages or accounts payables that you owe. So now you're going to give the SBA permission to pull your 4506T form. The first box here on the first page that you give the SBA permission to pull this form. You will then, once they pull the form, it will upload onto your screen. You will need to print this out. You will need to sign it and then upload it back into the document. And then once you have uploaded it, after you have signed it, then you will click next. There will be an option if you do choose so that you can click the deliver this information offline. I will let you know that if you click to deliver this information offline, you will not be allowed, after you submit this application, to go back and change that into an electronic form. So if you do have the capabilities to print this off, sign it, and then upload it back, that will make this process a whole lot quicker and easier for you. Now, they will need the 4560 for everybody with, again, over 20% ownership in the company. After you have submitted, you will get this wonderful check mark saying that everyone has completed their form, and now it'll be time to move on to the next form to upload. Now they're going to need the tax returns for, again, everybody with over 20% equity in the business. So just make sure that you have all this information available before you get started. And once you have uploaded everyone's tax returns, then now it is time to certify again that all of this information is true. And if you have completed everything and you have check marks on everything at the end of your application, it is now time to review and submit your application. Again, make sure that you have check marks next to everything. And if you have any questions and you would like somebody to review your forms, I cannot review your forms because I am not a certified loan officer, but I'd be more than happy to refer you to somebody that is. So once you have completed your forms, you will get a message in your SBA Message Center. This will say that your forms have been submitted successfully, and if the loan officer has any questions throughout the process, revert back and look for messages here in your message center. Now, if you have throughout the process have ever clicked saved and are going to come back into your application, when you log in, you will have on the second page after you put in your login information, you will have a my applications and loans, and just click continue. Do not start a new loan, or you will have multiples out there and it could delay the process. If you are a sole proprietorship, your forms are going to be very similar, but there will be a couple of different things that you'll need to input as well. So you're going to go to the blue circle for apply online, and then you'll click business and nonprofits. You will click sole proprietorship on the top, and then the most important again, you will click economic injury at the bottom. So on the left are the types of businesses that do qualify for sole proprietorship, and on the right will be the different forms that you will need to fill out. Now the whole application will be the same, just when we get to where other businesses were submitting the 4506T forms, the forms on the right will be the ones that you will need to fill out. And again, the links will be available below the video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And thank you for your time.